All right. Welcome to the GW Art Therapy Graduate Program info session. My name is Ingrid Valdez, and I am the program manager. I am not an art therapist, the only one in our team that is not. I run all of the administrative logistical parts to our program. This info session is usually done by a faculty member. I do a few, but unfortunately today they couldn't, so I stepped in, but I can pretty much answer everything. I've been here for 10 years, and if I can't, we can get the answer for you. So we're gonna get started. Um, so the American Art Therapy Association defines art therapy as, also, just before I get going, because I'm doing this by myself, I'm gonna go through the whole presentation and then I'll answer questions, but feel free to put the questions in the Q&A section and I will get to them at the very end. I'm gonna give you guys just a second to read this, so I'm not reading it to you. And if you do not know what the American Art Therapy Association is, definitely go ahead and take a look at them. They are our national association. They are the people who do our conference. And then we have local chapters by state or city, depending on the size. So a little bit of history of our program. We are the oldest continuous running program in the US. We were co-founded in 1971, so we had our 50 years not too long ago, by Bernie Levy and Eleanor Ullman. And a lot of the people that have helped start this program were definitely pioneers of the field. We have 5 faculty. Our director is Heidi Bardot. She grew up in Lebanon, so she specializes in war-torn areas and trauma, and she still goes back to Lebanon often and runs many train the trainer programs so she can help the people that are. Juliet King and Jordan Potash are our research people. Juliet specializes in neuroscience. She teaches our Trauma 1 class. She is very big into translational sciences. So how do we take the science and make it sound interesting and make sense in layman terms? Jordan is very much into culture and diversity, community. And then Erica Van Brunt is our clinical coordinator. We have an on-site clinic and she's responsible for that. And we'll talk more about that later. And all of them also teach besides their specific things they do. We have a really diverse faculty, adjunct faculty. It's fantastic to be able to have people who are out in the fields and they come in and they teach what they specialize in and the things that they believe in. And I just realized that you guys might not be seeing what I'm seeing. All right. Can somebody, okay, hopefully you're seeing our adjuncts. Oh, great. Thank you. You don't see it in presentation mode. Okay, well, I have 2 screens and it's looking really weird. But you can see the faculty, right? Okay. Students. We have students from all over the world, all types of backgrounds and cultures. I'm sorry, I'm very disorganized today. Backgrounds and cultures. It's a really fun, we're a bigger group of students. Our classes have between 28 and 32 students per cohort. And it's always really fun to see the new ones come in and have the ones that go out and see them in the world and becoming art therapist. Our program training is 4 components. So courses, which is 61 credits, internships, you do 2 of them. We have an on-site gallery and a culminating project. Don't worry, I'm going to go into everything into more detail. We are accredited by the Accreditation Council for Art Therapy, which is done by ADA, the American Art Therapy Association. So you have accredited and approved programs. Programs that are approved are probably working on accreditation. Art therapy accreditation is probably like 5 or 6 years old. So there are still programs that are in the process of it. Courses, we have, like I said, our program is 61 credits, done over a 2-year full-time and 3-year part-time basis. You have 57 core classes that you are taking sequentially, which is why we only start our program in fall, because we only run our classes once a year. And then you have 4 elective credits. And here's a list of some of the ones that we offer. Sometimes we add new ones. There are some that we run every year. There are some that we run every other year. It's really based on what the students are interested in that year. And then there's papers, presentations, and art. There's art in every class. There, I think, is only one class that actually has a test. So we do more final papers than tests per class. Internships. In order to graduate from an art therapy program, you need to do a minimum of 1,000 hours of internship, 900 to 1,000, depending on the state you're going to end up in, and 400 direct client contact hours. So that is the time that you are working directly with a client, not just at your internship site. We have sites in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area because it's a very tight area. DC, like the main campus, for example, just for people to understand if you're not from this area, the main campus is in DC. Our campus is in Alexandria, Virginia, but it is a 10-minute metro ride away. I live in Maryland, which is a 10-minute drive away. So this, what we call the DMV area, has a lot of internship sites. So some students, if you're commuting a little bit from like Baltimore or something like this, we also have sites in these areas. We have clinical and community, so you could have at a hospital, or you could have at a school, you could have at a homeless shelter, so all different types. And then you have your in-person internship supervisor and an on-campus practicum supervisor for your internship. The gallery exhibits 3 times a year. It is fantastic. We're a small campus, so we really have a lot of freedom in what we can do. We have 3 exhibits a year. In the fall, it is incoming students. In the spring, it's graduating students. And every summer, we do something different. It could be student-based, it could be faculty-based, it could be community-based. So it really depends on who's curating the gallery at that point. But gallery day, like brand new art day, is very fun on this campus. Everyone that's here gets really excited because we get to change our decorations 3 times a year. Students at the end of the program work on well, throughout the program, but you finish it at the end, is your culminating project. It's usually a case study that you work on through different classes, and everything kind of builds up to this final one. Why we are unique and what's unique to us, and we'll go through each one of these specific parts. We're a trauma-informed program. We have our art therapy clinic, international study abroad, our environment, our research, our student focus. We have an anti-racism and anti-oppression statement. We're in the nation's capital. We have continuing education for lifelong learning, and legacy with leadership and a lot of community work. So this is our campus. Like I said, we're located in Alexandria. We're about 10 minutes away from the King Street Metro, so we're accessible via metro, bus, and car. You can see right over here where it says GW, this is kind of our floor. We have a beautiful veranda. We have a Mac lab. We have our own library for our department. And then we've got 3 classrooms that are only ours, and we don't share them with anyone. Here you can see one of our 2 classrooms. We have a sink. All of this is art supplies. And then we have an art studio where the students pretty much do as they wish with. We rarely hold class in there, so it's really like a student's domain. All 3 rooms are full of art supplies. We have a kitchen with a refrigerator. So if you're here most of the day, you can have your lunch in there. It's a very beautiful, very bright space, and it's small campus, and it is only for graduate students. Trauma training, we have 6 credits of trauma training. You take 3 credits, so 1 class in the fall of your 2nd year and your 2nd class in the spring of your 2nd year. Juliet does trauma 1. So she does a lot of the neurobiology and the bilateral and cognitive restructuring. Heidi, our program director, does trauma 2, and she focuses on different points of trauma. So one class might be war, another class might be sexual assault, another class might be family, loss, grief. Everything is kind of brought in, and she brings in a lot of guest speakers who specialize in different areas. The trauma class is linked to our community clinic. Excuse me. We have a beautiful clinic that we share with school counseling. We have 3 rooms and they have 3 rooms. Students will see 1 or 2 clients during their 2nd year. It's a bit of a practice towards private practice. The clinic has cameras on 2 walls and microphones that come from the roof, so all sessions are recorded. And it's sliding scale, so it's based on what people can pay. It's a fantastic tool, and it helps learn so much, and students link it to a supervision class that is 1 hour a week, and you show clips of your client, your classmates are there, your faculty is there, and it really helps you with what's good and what's bad. And the having to watch yourself is really very, very good for the learning environment. We have an international study abroad. It is a fantastic program. We normally do a mix of India and South Africa. We'll be going to India this summer. I was fortunate enough to go to the Croatia trip, and it really was an incredible and life-changing opportunity. I grew up in Spain, and I had traveled a lot, and I thought, living, and what's another trip? And it absolutely was something else. And this is Croatia down here. This is in India with Heidi. This is when they went to Abu Dhabi, and this is in South Africa. It really makes our program stand out. It's an incredible experience if people can do it. Our research component for the students who are more interested in it, GW holds a research day. So here are some of the students that presented. We've had a lot of students win in the category that they're in. It's optional to present at student research day. You have your advisor that helps you through your culminating project, and usually if you're interested in presenting at research day, they'll work with you. What's actually really interesting seeing these pictures, so many of these students have come back to teach. Iman teaches, Luisa teaches, Christina's been teaching, some of them are supervisors. So our community is still very involved even once students graduate. We're a very student-focused program. I mentioned earlier, we're quite a big program, ranging between 28 to 30 students per cohort per year. We have 3 years. We have first years and second years, and then third years are the ones that are doing part-time. It is a big group. We divide our schedule in daytime, so about 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., and then evening, so 4 p.m. to about 8:30 p.m. So students pick morning or night, and then they have a few classes that are together. It's a great group, and usually the ones that are local always or stay in this area always come back. During COVID and when all of the issues were happening with George Floyd and the protests, especially in DC, our students got together and decided students and faculty got together, decided we really wanted a statement and pillars to work on and to constantly be bettering. It's a live document that we review every single year with our students. We actually have our next review January 13th with our current students. It's a great way to get together to talk about the hard things. This picture down here is Albie. She's one of our alumni and teachers and supervisors, and it was at the front of the Washington Post. She made this mask herself. And it really shows how much our students and our alumni came together and still come together year after year, as every cohort is different, as all the needs are different. That's why we wanted it to be a live document, because we wanted it to be important to what students are interested in at that moment and find important. Being in the nation's capital has a lot of benefits for advocacy. ADA, the American Art Therapy Association, is really close to us, but students can also be a part of change and legislation. Art therapy just got its DC license this year, and Jordan Potash, one of our faculty members, was very like, he was the driving force behind it. Our students and alumni have been involved in Virginia getting its art therapy license. So it's definitely a really good place to be for change. We have a continuing education center called the Learning Center. Once you become a therapist, you need continuing education credits every year in things like ethics and diversity, supervision, depending on what your licenses are. So we have workshops. Some of them are just, let's do some art. Some of them are new techniques and teaching. So there's a lot of variety that we offer every year. We hold one about once a month. And it's also a great way to not only bring our alumni back, but meet new people in the community. A little bit more about just the legacy in the community. Where are we here? This is one of our alumni parties at the Art Therapy Conference 2 years ago. So we do usually have these big parties. And like I said, Jordan did a lot of advocacy for the DC license, and we're constantly working on that. A little bit about program, application, financial aid, program options. Like I said, our program is 61 credits. It includes the 6 credits in trauma and 4 credits of electives. We do have what is called a BA/MA program. So if you're GW undergrad and you'd like to get your master's in art therapy, you can combine them during your last year and overlap the credits, so it counts for both degrees. Our application process, and probably where people have the most amount of credits, which are prerequisites. We require 18 credits in studio art. 3 of those credits are in drawing, 3 are in painting, and 3 are in figurative clay. We need 6 credits in psychology. What is new this year is we used to require 12 credits in psychology, and you had to have abnormal and human development. Since accreditation has changed, and they decree that if we have abnormal development and human development within your first year, then you learn it in the program, which we do. And the other thing that is different is, out of the 18 credits of studio art, 6 credit hours, the equivalency of 6 credit hours can be done through workshops, but you have to show that work. You have to show the time and get a letter from them. Our application is currently open. You do it online. We need transcripts of whatever schools you've been to, a statement of purpose, and a portfolio where we would like to see drawing, painting, figurative clay, and anything else that you enjoy doing, because it's also about how you use art for yourself. And 2 letters of reference. If you're an international student, you do need a TOEFL unless you have studied in an English-speaking country for undergrad. Our interviews are in person all day long, required. It is definitely a part of our program or application. Interviews for this year will be February 1st and February 14th. It's about 9 a.m. to 4 o'clock. So there's 3 group components and then an individual. You also get to meet our first and second year students. You get to meet our full-time team. A lot of people think it could be a really nerve-wracking experience. However, people have definitely told us once they've accepted our offer, if we've accepted them, that the interview is what changed their mind and made them decide to come to GW. Because while it's very nerve-wracking, we try to make it as calm as possible. There's a lot of chocolate. We feed you. You get to meet us. There's a lot of laughter. So it's a great day. I love interview day. It's like one of my favorites of the year. And our students are here, so you also get to talk to them and get their perspective. The elephant in the room, financial aid, cost of program. This program is about $1,800 a credit, $1,800 or $1,900 a credit. We're at 61 credits. So the last time I checked, we're at about a little over 100,000. We have merit-based fellowships that can cover about 20% of the program. There's also financial aid and loans and FAFSA. There are 2 specific grant scholarships to GWs, to CCAS, which is Columbian Colleges, was the college that we are under, which is the Minority Serving Institute Award and the International Graduate Funding Initiative. And that is based off either the school that you went to for undergrad or the country that you're coming from. There's also work study positions within GW. I believe GW has some 5,000 positions between the main campus and all other campuses. And then there are external grants and private grants. I always say that no matter what school you're planning on attending, or if you're planning on attending, applying to 5 schools, start looking for scholarships and grants now. It's a full-time job to find these. And the more time you give yourself, and if you know that art therapy is what you're going to do, then you can focus on that and not necessarily the school that you're going to. There's so much stuff out there. And we had one student whose grandfather was part of the Scottish Rite, and they contacted them, and the Scottish Rite paid for their schooling. So there's so many things out there that can definitely be something to look at. Here is our information. The artx@gwu.edu directly goes to me and my work study, Brittany. If I don't get back to you, Brittany gets back to you. If you've written us in the last few days and last 2 weeks and haven't heard back from us, we're catching up. We are at the end of our semester here, so we have a lot of work. And this is our last week of classes. So both Brittany and I are pretty busy and trying to get done as much as possible. So if we haven't gotten to you, we will get to you by next week.